Hi, this is Andrew Clark, Managing Director of Logistics Help and author of the 12 Principles of High Performance Warehousing, here in my hotel room at the Taj Lands End Hotel in Mumbai. I've been in Mumbai for the last week, having a look at the state of logistics in India today, and also attending and speaking at the 7th Express Logistics and Supply Chain Conclave at the Taj Lands End Hotel here in Mumbai. It was a fantastic event. 2 days with the best of people in supply chain in India today, speaking, and with incredible panel discussions from very experienced people in the Indian supply chain, and meeting a lot of people and getting to know them a bit better. It was truly a great event. I think everyone got a lot out of it, and it was an absolute credit to the Harish Bhatia and his team at B2B Media, who really organised a fantastic event. And in fact, he had multiple events happening over the course of those couple of days with chemical supply chain and high-tech supply chain. And he was running around from session to session, and it was just amazing. I was joined by a couple of my colleagues, Rob O'Byrne from Logistics Bureau and Andrew Downard from AD Supply Chain, who also presented keynote talks at the event. And Rob O'Byrne, in typical fashion, hosted some great panel discussions as well and pitched in. So it was great to see an Australian contingent here at the event. Now, Logistics Help, of course, I'm working with my local business partner, Prabhu, and he'll be heading up Logistics Help in India and helping me to establish a business here, so that we can bring the expertise and the software and the sophisticated solutions for logistics that we find in Australia and around the world, to implement those in India and really present some value, we believe, to the Indian market, and help grow and fill the desperate need that there is for improved logistics and infrastructure and education and training and all of those things that will help India advance as a nation. I guess a few things really leapt out at me about the Indian logistics situation. One is that there is a lack of infrastructure, and on one of the panel discussions on the pharmaceutical supply chain track during the conference, one of the supply chain managers of a major pharmaceutical company was saying to me how only about 9% of the Indian population is being reached with quality medicines. So 9% leaves 91% that are not being reached. So there's a massive gulf in the ability of logistics, and I guess that has to be funded as well, to get quality medicines to the population to improve the overall health and well-being. Perhaps even more significant than the lack of access to good medicines is what's going on in the food supply chain due to essentially a lack of infrastructure. Cold chain for food in India is still very much an emerging capability, and apparently some 40% of the fresh produce that is produced by the country is actually wasted before it even gets to the table. Now, in Western countries, in Australia in particular, and Britain, one of the things that has actually raised in awareness recently is the fact that within households people are wasting food. I mean, we have an abundance of food. If we throw food away in Australia, we just go down to the supermarket and buy some more. But apparently what is happening, because people are not used to cooking, they're wasting food within the household. But of course in India, people are not even getting the chance to get that food to the table in the first place. So just think what that would do to the ability to feed people and to bring the cost down of that food if we weren't throwing 40% of the fresh produce that was produced in the country, in the bin, simply because of lack of cold chain and spoilage. So you see that in India, that whilst there is, at the top level, there are absolutely world-class logistics companies and with good transport networks and sophisticated warehouses, but once you come away from that top level, there really is a gulf in infrastructure that really needs to be developed. Of course, India has a growing middle class, so there is growing demand and there's growing wealth in the country, and growth rates are 6, 7, 8%. So, no doubt India is growing rapidly and is growing its middle class, and has done an incredible work over the last 50 or 60 years in taking itself out of poverty. But still, some 30% of the population of India is below the poverty line. So there is a lot of work still to do, and I really hope that Logistics Help is able to be part of that in the future. So what else do I see about the supply chain India. And I would think probably the thing that you notice, and it's probably not unique to India, but in other developing countries as well, what you see is you see poverty side by side to world-class systems and infrastructure, almost parachuted or landed like an alien spaceship of high technology coming into a primitive surroundings. So what that means is that India is in fact leapfrogging dramatically from extreme poverty on the one hand to world-class infrastructure on the other. But of course there is a cost of that, and the cost disparities and the return on investment calculations just don't work the same in India as they would in a developed country. So for example, in Australia, if we were implementing a warehouse management system, the major cost justification for that would in fact be labour saving. But in India, labour is so cheap, and so what you actually see in a lot of warehouses once you get out of the the major 3PLs is stock is not even palletised, it's just put on the floor. And you don't have a forklift because it's much cheaper to employ a dozen or more people to simply carry that stock out of your wherever you're storing it, in your tin shed or warehouse, and load it by hand onto the truck, and then it's unloaded by hand at the other end. That is the way it's done, and that is much cheaper than a forklift. So how do you actually get from that situation to one person on a forklift spending a few minutes loading a few pallets into the truck? It's really hard if you're trying to do that from a pure return on investment cost calculation alone. But unless that sort of technology and world-class productivity is actually embraced, the reality is India is not actually going to go forward. So there is a massive piece of work to do. It's only going to come with the benefit of investment, and a lot of that will have to come from overseas to be put into India, and that will help raise the entire country and create the kind of jobs that Indians really want to do, which is not driving rickshaws and pushing handcarts of pipes and metal along the road, which is the sort of thing you see here. What Indians want to do is they want to raise themselves out of poverty to the middle class and do the sort of high-tech jobs that add value and create value and will undoubtedly make India a powerhouse economy into the future. So there's just a couple of thoughts from my trip to Mumbai. You'll certainly be seeing more of me in India in the future, and I really hope that there is a close association between Australia and India with logistics help in the future, and hopefully we will be able to help each other to the mutual benefit of our logistics across these two great nations. Thanks.